Well, good day, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to visit with us here on this webinar. In this webinar, we're going to talk about how you can begin raising funds for projects that are very dear to you. And that project could be helping you to get out of debt. That project could be helping you to solidify retirement. That project could be anything that is legitimate, that is dear to you, and we're going to share that as we go throughout this webinar. So the name of the webinar is Help 10K, help 10,000 people, raise 10K. All right, so we want to help at least 10,000 people directly and indirectly, raise at least $10,000, perhaps even much more, for your project, whatever that project happens to be. And again, that can help you if you happen to have a business, you're involved in some community projects or what have you. Whatever is dear to you. Help 10K, Raise 10K webinar. So let's get started here, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, my name is T. Lamont Silver Sr. Everyone calls me T. Lamont, and let's get right into it here. Our webinar objective is to introduce you to a fundraising concept that you can leverage to raise funds for legitimate projects that are dear to you. Legitimate projects that are dear to you. Further, it is to start you on a path to raising funds for your projects. And this could ultimately bring in donations of hundreds, thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands or even more. And you're going to see folks that have used the type of platforms that we'll be discussing here to literally raise tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, now, so we want to introduce you to this concept that I call leverage-based, and that's going to be very, very important. Okay, those two words there are very, very important. Leverage-based crowdfunding. Okay, now some of you are familiar with crowdfunding, and maybe you've already had some crowdfunding projects. What we're going to share today is crowdfunding with a twist. All right, so leverage-based crowdfunding. Well, let's talk about crowdfunding first of all. We'll get into the leverage-based part in just a few moments, but let's talk about crowdfunding. What is it? Crowdfunding is the practice of funding a project or venture by raising monetary contributions from a large number of people. And typically this is done over the internet. One early stage equity expert described it as the practice of raising funds from two or more people over the internet towards a common service, project, product, investment, cause, experience, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what SPPICE means, okay? All right, and so crowdfunding is not new. Crowdfunding is not new. As a matter of fact, as I was looking and studying and researching crowdfunding, we saw a site. Now, this comes from 2012 statistics, and I'm actually, we're hosting this webinar, we're recording it, so I don't know when you're going to see this, but we're doing this in 2014. So these numbers are a little dated, okay? The number of crowdfunding platforms in the U.S., there's 191 platforms as of 2012, and I'm sure that number has grown significantly since then. The percentage of growth of crowdfunding platforms worldwide, 60% growth in the number of crowdfunding platforms. So this is not just in the U.S., this is really a worldwide phenomenon. Now, back in 2012, worldwide crowdfunding volume, meaning donations that were given to various projects all across the globe through these crowdfunding platforms, was $2,806 million. So really, this becomes $2 billion. So this was really $2.8 billion in crowdfunding. Okay, so I want you to think that through, because when I originally heard fundraising, I'm thinking religious institutions. Religious institutions often do fundraising. I'm thinking nonprofit organizations. I'm thinking United Way. I'm thinking Red Cross. I'm thinking American Cancer Society, so on and so forth. Obviously, they raise funds. But now crowdfunding allows the average person to also raise funds for whatever project is worthwhile to them. Again, as long as it's ethical, as long as it's a legitimate project, you can leverage crowdfunding platforms, okay? All right, now, let's take a look at the growth of the dollars that are being now donated, okay? In 2009, $530 million were donated to projects, all right, to various projects that people have in 2009. Well, that was up about 60% the next year, okay? So now $854 million. And then that was about up maybe 60 or 70% the next year, okay? Now this is $1.47 billion in 2011. So now all of a sudden the word's starting to get out, more platforms are getting out there, people are starting to use crowdfunding platforms to raise funds, small or even great, for their particular projects. By 2012, $2.8 billion, okay, $2.8 billion. Now I want to go back to Wikipedia, because these numbers are based on 2012. As we were looking at Wikipedia, it said in 2013, the crowdfunding industry grew to be over $5.1 billion worldwide. So between all the platforms, the donations made and donations received, 5.1 billion with the B dollars. Now, if we just are looking at that growth rate, all right, if that continued, and who knows if it will or will not, I certainly don't see it getting any less. I see it getting more and more popular. You know, it could be in 2014, you know, when we're in 2015 and we're reading back on 2014 numbers, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 7 or 8 or maybe even $9 billion. Okay, so this is a concept, crowdfunding, that's not new, and it's not going anywhere. Okay, it's not new, and it's not going anywhere. Okay, now, let's just real quickly go back to 2012. And the reason I'm showing you this is I want you to understand, because when we start talking about you leveraging crowdfunding and a leverage-based crowdfunding platform, I want you to understand that, hey, your project of, hey, I just want to be able to raise some funds so I can get out of credit card debt, or I want to raise some funds to help me with my business, or I want to raise some funds so I can move because someone connected with me, and where they were living, they said it was not conducive to raising, I think they're raising their grandchildren, to raising their grandchildren. Now, I want you to understand that that's a legitimate project. And with the right type of crowdfunding platform, there's a chance that you could raise, maybe even significant dollars for your worthwhile project. Look at this. All right, so this is going back to 2012. In the United States alone, back then, there were 191 crowdfunding platforms. I'm sure that number has increased. In the UK, 44, Netherlands, 29, France, 28, Brazil, 21, Germany, 20, Spain, 18, Canada, 17, Australia, 12, so on and so forth. So this is a worldwide phenomenon. Now, this is very, very telling. This shows some of the top crowdfunding platforms out there. GoFundMe is a very popular one. As a matter of fact, they've helped people raise over $410 million for, look at this, personal fundraisers. You see that? Look at this, for personal fundraisers, $410 million for personal fundraisers. Now, the reason I wanted to do this screenshot is I wanted you to see that the Alexa rankings, all right? So for instance, here is a crowdfunding platform, and Alexa, if you don't know, if you went to alexa.com and you put in a website, GoFundMe.com, for instance, it would tell you, it would show you the visits that go to that site, and then there are rankings. So if you're looking at a global rank, now these, by the time you see this, these ranks could have been higher or lower. When you see complete rank or global rank, what this is basically saying is GoFundMe is the 563rd most visited site in the world. So there's only 562 other sites. Again, those numbers could change by the time you go and check this out on Alexa. There's only 562 sites in the entire world that gets more traffic, more visitors than GoFundMe. That's amazing. This is a crowdfunding platform. And if you were to look at that from a U.S. perspective, U.S.-based websites, this is the 402nd most visited site in the U.S. So as I pulled this screenshot, there were only 401 websites in the U.S. that had more traffic going to it. As an example, Google is number one in the U.S. and in the world. More people go to Google than any other website in the world. Facebook is number 2. YouTube is number 3. I believe Yahoo is number 4. Amazon is number 5. Okay? Last time I looked globally. All right, here's Kickstarter, for instance. Now, Kickstarter doesn't allow just personal fundraising. This is for creative fundraising. So maybe you are an artist and you're trying to launch a CD. You know, maybe you're like a singer or something like that, or a musician, and you're trying to launch something along those lines. Or maybe you're trying to get a movie project launched or what have you. Those are the types of things that Kickstarter is known for. But still, even though it may not be available for the average person who says, hey, I want to use crowdfunding to get out of debt, what I want you just to understand is the interest that people have in terms of going to these crowdfunding sites. This is the 216th most visited site in the U.S., okay? Wow. Now, this is what I did. I went back to Alexa. And this will be tough for you to see. I don't expect you to see the stuff here, but I wanted you to see the Alexa.com up here. This is what I want you to see. And you know what? I tell you what. I'll zoom in. I'll zoom in just a little bit during the editing phase here, and you'll see some of the names right above Kickstarter. But what I really want to do is I want to blow up the sites, or some of the sites that you're probably familiar with, that Kickstarter gets more traffic than this site here, for instance, AliExpress. AliExpress is a very, very well-known site, particularly for those that are in like a drop shipping type business. This is a site where a lot of people that, let's say they drop ship on Amazon, they drop ship on eBay. A lot of drop shippers, and there's a bunch of drop shippers out there, use a site like AliExpress to find products that they can sell on their Amazon store, as an example. Very, very, very well known in that niche, in that arena. Ticketmaster. I mean, how many times have you listened to the radio and maybe there is a sporting event, maybe there is a concert that's happening in your local area, especially if you happen to be in the U.S., and they're telling you to go to Ticketmaster.com, concerts, Broadway plays, sport event tickets, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at this. AccuWeather, Hotels.com. As I'm doing this particular webinar, just a couple weeks ago, my family and I, we went on a weekend excursion, and guess where we went to go book a really nice hotel? Hotels.com. And so my point is, Kickstarter, as I'm doing this webinar, is getting more traffic than Hotels.com or Career Builder or Costco or Fidelity. The point I want to drive home here is that crowdfunding is real. Crowdfunding is legitimate. Crowdfunding is not going anywhere. In fact, you've got major players in business like the Donald, all right? Obviously, most people are familiar with Donald Trump. He has gotten into crowdfunding. Donald Trump recently announced his foray into crowdfunding with the launch of his own crowdfunding platform, Fund Anything. Now, one of the reasons that crowdfunding platforms are in vogue, why there's so many crowdfunding platforms out there, is that the crowdfunding platforms themselves are also, I don't know if I would say raising funds or earning money or what have you. So here's an example. look at this particular site charges a 9% fee on contributions as they are collected. Now, I know with some of these platforms, you can make your contribution, you can make your donation by, let's say, by credit card. So that may help offset some of the processing fees. With some sites, if you were to make a donation by credit card, you are actually assuming the fee. So each site is a little bit different. So I don't begrudge the fact that any of these crowdfunding platforms actually charge a fee, because they're basically shining a spotlight on your project. What happens here is that if the creator reaches his or her fundraising goal, 4% is returned, so there's a net fee of 5%. So let's say someone has a fundraising goal of $10,000, and as those funds are coming in, all right, there's a 9% fee. Now this is not the crowdfunding platform that I want to share with you. I just want you to understand how crowdfunding works, okay? So there's normally a fee, 9% in this case. And then, now, who's that charged to? That basically, if someone sends in a $100 donation, $91 gets to the donor with this particular platform here. And then if that project manager, the person who has the project, hits their goal, then some funds are returned to them. Now, my whole point in saying this is, now you may be seeing why there are more and more crowdfunding platforms, because there are platforms out there that obviously are generating profits, all right, okay? All right, do we begrudge that? No, I don't begrudge that at all. I just want you to understand, oh, okay, all right, now I'm starting to see. All right, so let's go, and I did some screenshots at Fund Anything, which is the Donald's crowdfunding platform. And I'm not recommending necessarily this platform. Obviously, you can go and see if there's some worthwhile causes that you want to donate to. And obviously, you can even check out and see if you want to have a project put up there. I'm going to share with you a leverage-based crowdfunding project or platform that I'm using that I recommend folks strongly consider. And this is where my Help 10K, Raise 10K comes about. What I'm doing right now is I just want you, a lot of people have never heard of crowdfunding. Others, like myself, heard of it and dismissed it. I dismissed it, okay? But when I started to really do my research, I'm like, oh, wow, this is legitimate. This is not going anywhere. So take a look at this. So here is someone who's looking to raise $1,586, Helen's 50th Hope. So you could click on there, for instance, read up on what the project is and why they're looking to raise money, and if you felt compelled, you could actually give a donation. This person is looking to raise $8,000 because they're facing eviction, okay? This person says, I don't know what this means. A roof over my head means a wig for a child. I have no idea what that means. You could click on and you could see. Here, this person looks like they are looking to raise funds for maybe a business enterprise. You know, maybe they say life coaching intensive program. So maybe they have some type of life coaching program, which I would probably relate to as a business. They're looking to raise $14,104. Look at this guy. He says, help me move to New York City. Help me move to New York City. He's looking to raise $4,000. Somebody here is looking to raise $500,000 for a retirement investment. Now, what I want you to walk away with just on this one screenshot is these folks have what they believe to be legitimate projects. Now, whether or not MJ is going to raise the full $8,000 or a portion thereof, what have you, I want you to understand that you can use crowdfunding to raise funds for any legitimate project. You don't have to be a nonprofit organization. You don't have to be a religious institution. You can raise funds for a worthwhile project. Now, as I'm doing this webinar, in the news lately, there's been a lot of talk about what happened in Ferguson, Missouri, and I certainly don't want to make this a political platform. So let's just look at what's happened there. Obviously, there was an officer, there was a shooting, unfortunately, there's a life that was lost there. And there were a lot of folks that were passionate about a cause for the officer, okay? So through crowdfunding, no matter what emotions this brings up with you, whether you agree or disagree or what have you, the point is I want you to understand that you can raise funds. So in this case, the officer has been able to raise $235,000. Now, he may not have put the project up. Maybe somebody put the project up on his behalf. Who knows there, okay? Now, I want to zoom in just a little bit here, and you're going to see that $235,010 was raised from 5,902 people. Now, if you simply take, and by the way, this is on one platform, okay? This is on one platform. If you took the $235,000 and $235,010 and simply divided that by the 5,902 people that gave a contribution, then you see that the average donation was $39.82. So in many cases with crowdfunding, it's not so much that people are giving extra large donations. It's just the fact that there's a lot of people that are giving, in many cases, giving, small donations, all right? Because somebody did $10, somebody did $25, somebody did $100, somebody did $200, somebody did $5. And then when you just look at all of that combined, the average was $39.82. Now, since this was such an emotional topic and is such an emotional topic, I think it's important to share both sides. So you've got a crowdfunding project for the officer, and I would imagine that if there happens to be any charges brought, that would maybe help offset legal fees and things of that nature, okay? And then you've got the Michael Brown Memorial Fund. Michael Brown was the gentleman, unfortunately, whose life was taken, and so you can see his parents there. And as of when I pulled this screenshot, $275,000. Now, their goal with this particular crowdfunding platform is $300,000, and you can see they're almost there. 9,198 people contributed in 13 days. I think with the officer, that was just 4 days, $235,000 in just 4 days, okay? If we did the same thing, took the 275, divided it by the 9,198, excuse me for coughing, give me a moment, let me get a little water here. You would see the average donation was about $30, okay? All right, so again, my point is, some of you, I think it's hard, especially if you live in the U.S., and I know not everybody who's watching this is in the U.S. or on this webinar. Obviously, I think it's hard if you live in the U.S. not to have some emotions, whether those emotions were with the family, the emotions are with the officer, or both. So I wanted to show you both sides there, because there's going to be some people that will feel very strongly one way, and maybe they made a contribution, and then there's going to be other people that feel very strongly the other way. My point that I want you to capture here is any project that's ethical, that's legitimate, all right, somebody's going to see my project and say, well, that doesn't move me. And then there's going to be somebody that sees my project and says, you know what, yeah, I want to contribute. My project is very simple. My project is help 10K, raise 10K. That's my project. I want to help 10,000 people raise at least $10,000. Let's look at some more others, maybe that are not as political, okay? All right. Here's a family looking to raise $38,000. Here's somebody looking to raise $5,290. And with this particular crowdfunding platform, if you take a look where you see the green bar, so here's their target, $38,568. And then you can see where they are relative to their target, in kind of a graphical form. Someone here was looking to raise funds for, looks like to be a dog. And they were looking to raise, or have raised, $5,290. Somebody here is looking to raise $149,000. And of course, you could click on, and maybe, who knows? Maybe there's a situation where there's a sick child or what have you. Well, again, whatever project you deem to be legitimate, as long as it's ethical, you can potentially raise funds through crowdfunding, and especially when we talk about the crowdfunding platform that I'm leveraging, that I want you to consider leveraging as well. I tell you what, let's go and, here, look at this. Somebody said bucket list. And I looked at this one. I think one person, unfortunately, is close to the end with a terminal disease, and they were looking, they had something that they wanted to do before they expire. And so they said, hey, help me, all right? And you can see here by the green bar, a lot of people were moved enough to do a donation, whether it was $10 or $5 or $25 or $100 or what have you, okay? Let's take a look at Bear. Help Bear with her leg surgery. And this really, really blew me away when I looked at it, because it looks like their target was $3,500, but they actually raised $5,350. And they did that in one day, okay? So there's going to be some folks that see this, that you are a dog lover, you are a cat lover, you are a pet lover, and you see Bear and with the sad eyes, and you are just compelled to give a donation, whether it's $5, $10, $50, $100, whatever, okay? There's going to be some people that aren't pet owners, or maybe they're pet owners, but they look at it as a pet and not a member or an extension of the family. I've seen both. I've seen people that their pet is part of the family, all right? Where they say, come to mommy or come to daddy. And I've seen other folks that say, hey, it's a pet, okay? Again, it's a legitimate project. Whether or not it moves you or me doesn't make it any less legitimate. So when someone is looking at your project, whether it moves them or not, doesn't make your project any less legitimate. So I want you thinking, what project do you want people to see of yours? Maybe it's getting out of debt. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's being able to, maybe you have an e-commerce business and you want to source products out of China, but you don't have the money. That's a legitimate project. And when I share with you the platform I'm using, you're going to see how the leverage could allow you to have a lot of contributors and even larger potential donations of what you're seeing here in these examples. All right, here's a crowdfund project where it looks like there were 17 people that were forced retirees, and I went through this one, and what was interesting, a lot of times when people or let's say forced out, they may have a package, and they may have several months to kind of prepare that, okay, I'm at this age, they're not giving me much of a choice, they're giving me a package to kind of retire and what have you. Well, apparently, these folks, according to this information, were kind of forced to retire, very little time to prepare for it. And so somebody put together a crowdfundraising project to help them in their transition. All right, so they've raised $8,405 over of the $10,000 goal in 2 days. Okay, again, I want you saying, again, this was important to me because when I first heard of crowdfunding, I'm thinking, oh, nah, well, because I'm thinking fundraising is for religious institutions and nonprofits, but with the crowdfunding platform, it's for everyday Joe and Susie average. Let's take a look at another one dealing with pets. Here's Help Panda Recover. Help Panda Recover. They were looking to raise $10,000. They raised just over $10,000 in 2 days. In 2 days. A couple more here. Intellectual Frog Legs fundraiser. This was interesting. This one had a video on this particular crowd-raising platform, and the gentleman is a small businessman. I believe he's got some type of talk show. I don't know if it's an internet-related talk show or if a satellite talk show. He's a conservative Christian talk show host. See, some people, when I said that, are maybe from the conservative Christian crowd, if you will, that would, hey, let me go take a look at this site. There would be some people who would say, well, I'm not a conservative Christian, or I don't want to support that. Again, what I want you to walk away with is, for this person, it's a legitimate project. Whether or not someone looking at it decides they want to donate or not, it's a legitimate project. Well, what he wanted to do is, he felt like that where he's currently living, that his message, his conservative Christian message, is not as well received, and so he wants to move to an area of the U.S., an area of the country, where he feels like his message would be more accepted. All right, now, so think about that. Think about that. The guy is basically saying, help me move. The guy's basically saying, I think he's in Missouri. I'm in Missouri, and he wants to move to Nashville, Tennessee. He's basically saying, help me move. And look at this. $19,120 he's raised of a $20,000 target, okay? Now, it's happened in 5 months. It wasn't one of those that happened in 2 days or 1 day like some of the other ones. But look, if you were looking to raise $20,000 to get out of credit card debt, and if you raise that over 5 months, so it didn't happen in 2 days or 3 days, you're going to be okay with that? Yeah, probably, okay? And let's give you one more here, and we'll go on to some more parts of the training. All right, so here's a young lady who is an independent yarn dyer. So she's a small business owner. She's a home business owner. Now, not home business in the sense necessarily of network marketing or multi-level marketing, but still a home business nonetheless, or small business nonetheless, okay? Look at this. Her goal was to raise $15,000. But she has raised now $33,000, 225% more than her goal. Now, what's really compelling to me on this is that when people went to this particular crowdfunding platform, it shows what the goal is, and it shows where she was relative to her goal. And even though she had reached her listed goal, there were people that still believed enough in her project that even though she had already hit $15,000, they were compelled to give 10 here, 15 there, 100 there, 25 there, 300 there, whatever those numbers happen to be. She's raised $33,767 for her business. So some of you that are watching this, you're promoting some type of business. You've got an internet business. You've got a network marketing enterprise. And, you're thinking, boy, if I could raise some money, then I could do an advertising campaign and drive more traffic to my website. Guess what? That's legitimate. She's got a yarn business. She's raising funds to help promote her business. Why couldn't you do the same if you were in the business arena or what have you, okay? All right, and here's just another couple of examples, and then we'll move on. The Dan Yeager project, he's looking to raise $10,000. This person is looking to raise $90,000. Building business for the little guy. Somebody here is opening a game arcade. So once again, these are business folks here that are asking for donations, so that they can have a for-profit enterprise. I mean, think about that. And they're not saying, hey, if you donate, you're going to get a percentage of profits or anything like that. They're just simply putting it out there. Hey, this is my dream. This is my goal. This is my project. This is my why. This is my cause. And some people are donating, okay? My print shop and my chickens save my living business. So this person is saying, hey, help me save my business. I have no idea what this means. Keep comics in Elkins. Counterculture concepts. See, I have no idea what that means. Now, you could click on and you could find out, but they're looking to raise $5,000. Look at this person. Get my business off the ground. All right, so once again, if you had a business or have a business, and maybe you want to scale your business with advertising, you want to scale your business with buying inventory, you want to scale your business, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as it's legitimate and ethical. All right. Let me skip that there. Okay. So what's the challenge that most people face when looking to raise funds via crowdfunding? Now, I had a gentleman that I've connected with on Skype, and had a very, very, very unfortunate incident. Unfortunately, he lost his son. His son was, I think, an innocent bystander, and there happened to be, a stray bullet, and from what I understand, and unfortunately, his son was taken. And so they went to a crowdfunding platform, and I found out about it, and then I saw it, and there were some contributions there. And I went back to him after a while, and I asked him, if you don't mind me asking, did you hit your targets? And he raised some funds, but he didn't really get close to what the target was. So just to say, okay, guys, there's been a great webinar. Now you know what crowdfunding is. Go and find a crowdfunding platform and go and raise funds, $10,000. That wouldn't work for most people, all right? Because here's the challenge that most people face when looking to raise funds via crowdfunding, and it really comes down to one word: visibility. 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 Let's take a look, all right? Let's take a look at the officer. Let's take a look at the officer there in Ferguson, Missouri. Is that a highly visible case? All right, no matter where you are on the emotional spectrum with that case, is that a highly visible case? Yes. And so now, when there was a crowdfunding platform, where monies could go to the officer's cause, there was a lot of visibility, a lot of traffic, a lot of people, to the tune of almost 6,000 people contributed. Some 5, some 10, some 100, what have you. Okay. Meanwhile, the family of the lost teenager, lot of visibility. And look at something here. Look at something here. Okay. Look down here where it says Facebook share. So what happened was 26,000 people that have Facebook accounts, when they saw this, they clicked the share button. And if you know anything about Facebook, when you click share, that shows up on your timeline. And if you've got friends, that could also show up in their personal news feeds. So now, if 26,000 people click the share button, and if the average one of those had 2, 3, 4, 500 friends, as an example, and if a percentage of those friends had something show up in their news feed as it related to this crowdfunding project, can you see how that visibility allowed them to raise, $275,000 in less than 2 weeks? The other thing that happened, if you pay attention here, notice there were 26,000 people that clicked on this share button, apparently, if I'm reading this correctly, from the actual crowdfunding platform. Hey, I just made a donation, $10, click share, it goes on my timeline that I just made a donation, and there's probably a link where people that see that could then go and make a donation. From within Facebook, all right, there were 35,000 total shares, so it looks like another 9,000 people that maybe weren't at the site from within the site or within Facebook shared it as well. So, for instance, let's say this happened, all right, whether it was with the officer or whether it was with the family. Again, I know there are emotions high on this, and I don't want this to be a political platform, so I kind of want to be, I've got my strong feelings, but this is not the forum for me to express my strong feelings. So let's say that I made a donation to either or both, okay? And I clicked the share button in my Facebook. Well, a percentage of my friends are going to see that in their newsfeed. And when that happens, ladies, or they're going to see that on their timeline, and when that happens, there's a link there, and maybe somebody from within their Facebook saw the project being worthwhile, and they shared it with their friends. And so are you seeing how you could have had this viral nature getting this message out about this particular project? Now, most of us are not going to have that type of visibility. And that's the challenge with simply going to most crowdfunding platforms. If you don't have a lot of visibility, how do you get your project in front of people? Let's take a look at Panda here, okay? Now, when I saw that 1,700 people clicked the share button, then it was evident to me that whoever is put this project together has a following. So I don't know, maybe they are a blogger. Maybe, they're talking here about a victim of animal cruelty. So maybe they have a website or they have a blog talking about, animals and animal cruelty and what have you. And maybe they built up a following. Maybe they have a Facebook fan page talking about animal cruelty. And now maybe they have a bunch of fans. And so maybe they sent out a Facebook or an email or a blog post or a tweet or Skype or what have you to their email list or what have you, saying, hey, help us with Panda, all right? It's evident that they have a following because there were 1,700 people that clicked on the Facebook share, which then obviously when that happened, that got into people's timelines, that got into people's news feeds, so on and so forth. Most of us don't have that type following. So what is the solution if you have limited visibility? And I would dare say that a good amount of people that are watching this, maybe the overwhelming majority of folks watching this, would probably classify themselves as having limited visibility. Let me tell you where I come up with that. Now, this is, crowdfunding is not a business, okay? You can raise funds for your business, but in and of itself is not a business. However, I am an entrepreneur. I'm a home business owner. I've been in the home business network marketing type arena for 20 years. And oftentimes when I'm doing webinars specifically related to business, I'll ask the question as to, with my audience on that webinar, how many folks do you have in your email list? Because in the internet marketing world, it really is based on, a lot of it is based on how many subscribers do you have to your email list, so that when you send out an email or you send out an offer, there are more people, can see your offer, and then a percentage of those, take you up on your offer. And in most cases, when I ask that question on a live webinar, the overwhelming majority of my webinar attendees, even though they may be in a home business, have little to no email lists. So I'm going to assume that most people watching this now, you've got limited visibility. So how do we get you raising $10,000 or more for your cause? Well, this is where I want to talk about a very special crowdfunding platform that has a very special twist. They have a donated forward approach to crowdfunding. And so I want to introduce you to Gold Crowdfunding. This is the platform that I leverage. This is the platform that if you're looking to raise funds for whatever legitimate cause that is special to you, and especially if you want to be one of the 10,000 that we want to see raise at least 10,000, this is the goal. This is the crowdfunding platform that I strongly recommend that you consider. So let's walk you through what makes this different, okay? Gold Crowdfunding offers a crowdfunding platform with a major twist, or maybe major twists, maybe that should be plural. And that includes a donated forward platform. We'll talk about that. It also includes a donation distribution formula that generates leveraged based donations. Typically when you go to a regular crowdfunding platform, okay, most of them out there, you're simply giving a donation to that one project. Let's say you decided you want to give $100. All right, you give $100 to that one project. Well, with Gold Crowdfunding, they have a donation distribution formula where that $100 donation could actually go to 3 different projects. Okay. And so what that means is that more project managers, a project manager is simply a person that has a project worthwhile and dear to them, more project managers are able to get donations for their specific projects. Okay, now the combination of these two allow for the potential of far more donators to your cause, and ultimately there could be much larger donations. We saw, for instance, with the officer, the average donation was about $40. With the family, the average donation was about $30. Well, with this platform, you could actually have, because it's leverage-based, a lot more people donating to your cause, and you could, in time, even have much larger donations than maybe what the average crowdfunding platform would provide for you, okay? Now, I've got a disclaimer here. Gold crowdfunding is not a business. There are no monthly autoships. There are no monthly subscriptions, okay? And your participation, obviously, is strictly voluntary. You can register for free, and you can go on and start receiving donations, okay? But you can do that with any crowdfunding platform. What I really want to discuss over the next few moments is how you want to consider leveraging this platform so that you can leverage the contributions of others to help you with your particular project. Now, when I say this, or when I share this, there's obviously no guarantees that you'll receive any donations, okay? However, we do have a roadmap, and if you follow that roadmap, then there's a very good chance that you'll see donations, and perhaps a lot of contributors, and perhaps far larger donations than you would in traditional crowdfunding platforms. Okay, so the power of gold crowdfunding is based on this donation distribution formula that I'm going to show you. And really what you want to do to begin your fundraising, okay, is you want to optionally refer a minimum of 2 others to start their own project. Now, I did a live webinar once, and someone said, well, what if I can't get 2 people that also want to become project managers? When I say you want to get a minimum of 2 folks, I'm not saying just 2 people that donate. I'm saying 2 people that also want to use this platform. You'll see that in just a few moments. And so what the person said to me, and this person happens to come from the network marketing, multi-level marketing niche, they said, you know, the average person doesn't get 2 recruits. And I had to remind them, well, this is not a business, okay? So we're not talking about a business. And in that particular niche, very often, people have a monthly subscription or monthly auto ship, and a lot of people don't want to have another bill, okay? We're not talking about that. The reality is, if you're going to participate in any crowdfunding project where you are a project manager, you're going to have to get somebody that makes contributions. And if you want to raise $500, $5,000, $500,000, you know, you're going to have to get at least 2 contributors, right? And probably a lot more to raise those sums that I just mentioned. So this is what I want you thinking. What I want you thinking is, do I know of at least 2 other folks, because this is really the question you should ask, do I know at least 2 other folks that need to raise funds for their own worthwhile project? Now, I want to give you a hint of what I'm doing. And it doesn't mean that you've got to do it, but I just want to give you some food for thought. Now, I mentioned that I've been in the network marketing, multi-level marketing niche for 20 years. Not everybody who's watching this has been there, but still take this principle, okay? So what happens in my niche, I'm in a lot of people's emails lists. I've been in Facebook rooms and Skype rooms, and as a result, I'm always getting people on a daily basis, several times a day, that are promoting something. They're in some company and they want me to look at their company. They want to recruit me. Or they have a product and they want me to look at their product because they want to sell their product to me, okay? So I already know that these are business people. Even though they're home business people, they're business people nonetheless. And I know that in that niche, 95% of the folks are really struggling to make money. So I know that 95% of the offers or the pitches that I get are coming from people that aren't making any money or making very little money, and they need a little boost. They may need to do some advertising, for example, to help get their offer in front of more people, okay? So I know they can raise funds or need to raise funds for something, whether it's just their business or maybe they have other things that have nothing to do with business. So what I do is, instead of saying, hey, contribute to my cause, All right? What's the name of this webinar? Help 10K. Help 10K. Raise 10K. Help 10K. Raise 10K. So my focal point on referring at least 2 project managers isn't saying, hey, will you please donate to my cause? What I'm doing is I'm simply saying, hey, let me help you raise money. Let me be a servant. Let me be a servant. So I want you thinking, all right, do you have at least 2 people that you know that want and need to raise funds? Or do you have people that's pitching you on a business and know that 95% of them are probably struggling? They need to raise some funds. All right, so those are questions that you should ask. All right, and the other part of that would be, do I know at least 2 people that would like to raise funds and would love the fact that they don't have to join a business to do so? In other words, they don't have to be on a monthly auto ship or a monthly subscription or anything like that. Now, I do want to say this before I go on. I'm going to show you a very powerful solution, gold crowdfunding, very powerful solution. And you'll probably want to embark upon your own project after you see this. I'm going to say this, that with our community here, our community of fundraisers, our community of project managers, this is just one piece of a huge master game plan. When I say that, I've been in the industry for 20 years. We've done very well, the industry, the home business industry. Now, this is not a business. This is not a business. So I want to make sure you don't confuse that. But we have a lot of people that have followed us in our business interests that are now starting to learn about crowdfunding and gold crowdfunding more specifically. I want you to understand this, and there might be some background noise here. I do apologize. If you're not hearing that, then forgive me, because I'm hearing a lot of background noise, and it may just take a moment before that goes away. Okay. So hopefully you didn't hear that. Maybe you did, all right? But it was bothering me, but it's gone. Okay, all right. So where was I? I lost my train of thought. Okay, so I want you thinking, do you know at least 2 people that want to raise funds, that want to become project managers? This is a big piece of a much larger pie. For those of you that follow us intimately, and maybe this is the first time you've ever heard of me, maybe someone sent you to this particular presentation, I want you to follow up with them, not only with gold crowdfunding, but I also want you to ask them, what did he mean by that? Because we want to help you make sure that you have retirement, make sure your college is taken care of for your kids. We really want you to be free, okay? All right, now, let's go forward. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through how this works from a conceptual standpoint, and what you'll want to do is once you make a decision that you want to start your own gold crowdfunding platform, you'll be able to log into a back office, and then we'll be able to get into some real in-depth, how do you really supercharge your project your project with contributions coming in, things of that nature, okay? I'm going to give you the 10,000 square foot view right now, all right? So here we go. What happens is you get started, and whoever got this information to you, they're a project manager. There's going to be a place on their site where you can start your own project, and you do that by simply enrolling for free, okay? Now, at that point, you can set your project up, which is very simple. You can put pictures there, you know, a write-up of your project, and you'll have like a website, and you can then take that website that talks about your project, and you can email that out, and you can Skype it out, and you can Facebook it out, and you can tweet it, so on and so forth, okay? And you can start receiving contributions that way. And I would suggest that you do that. At the same time, I would also suggest that you look at this platform as I'm going to share it with you, okay? So let's say that you enroll, and then you take what we call step 1. There are 7 steps, and we're also going to say this is floor 1. There are actually 3 floors. So this system has a system of steps and floors. A system of steps and floors, okay? So there's a floor 1, it has 7 steps. There's a floor 2, it has 7 steps. There's a floor 3, it has 7 steps. For right now, let's just focus on floor number 1. Okay, so you can enroll for free. You do not have to make a donation to anyone else. You can then have your link, and you can, on your own, Facebook it out, tweet it out, email it out, Skype it out, and you can receive donations if someone sees your link and they are compelled to give you a donation. You get the donation, and those are your donated dollars, okay? Now, you would be in no better position than simply going to some of the other sites and posting your information, meaning you're going to be the one that's going to be required to get the traffic there for people to see your project. And hey, maybe you can do that. But we want to leverage a community of project managers, and we want to help develop a community of project managers. So here we go. Let's say that you follow our lead, Help 10K to Raise 10K, and you take step 1. Step 1 says that you donate $10 to the project of your introducing project manager. So whoever got you this video, whoever got you to this webinar, whoever shared Gold Crowdfunding with you, you register with them, and then you optionally give them a $10 donation to their cause, okay? Now what that's going to do for you now is when you are simply distributing your link, or when you find, let's say, 2 people that want to start their own project, they hear the same message, they will then donate $10, but that $10 will go to your cause. Now, I say 2, it could be 2, it could be 22, there's no limit to the number of project managers you can introduce. The more you introduce, then the larger your project management community can be. But, you know, a lot of people may not think, hey, I can introduce a whole bunch of folks. But everybody can introduce 2 project managers. Okay. Now, the other thing I'm going to strongly recommend that you consider is this $40 Gold Accelerator. Okay? That's a one-time donation to your introducing project manager. And so in this case, if you did step 1, $10, and you did the Gold Accelerator of $40, that would be $50 going to your introducing project manager. Okay? No monthly auto ships because it's not a business. No monthly subscription because it's not a business. My strong recommendation is you do a $50 contribution donation to your project manager. Now, what that then qualifies you for is the start of leverage-based donations. So let's say you introduce a project manager, they hear this same message, they do a $10 donation that goes to you, they do the $40 accelerator that goes to you. So with one project manager that you introduced that did what you did, you just got back the $50 donation you gave, just came right back to you. Now with the second project manager that you introduce, if they did the same, the $10 donation, the $40 donation, that goes to you. If you happen to refer a third or a 17th or 172nd project manager, and if they did the same, they did a $10 donation and the $40 accelerator, that would go to who? That would go to you. So in any of the floors, remember there's 3 floors, step 1, those donations would go to you, assuming that you have previously made that same donation to your project manager. It is a sowing, reaping model. It is a let me give out of the goodness of my heart, hey, when you give, you receive. All right, some people would call it karma. Some people would say what goes around comes around, or comes around goes around. I forget which one, but you get the point, okay? All right. Now, you're going to see these other donation amounts. Ultimately, as you build a community of project managers, and how does that start? Hey, you want at least 2 project managers that you introduce to really scale this model that we're talking about. And if you're going to raise funds anyway, or if you're looking to raise funds anyway, you're going to have at least 2 contributors, 2 donators. So if somebody's willing to donate, there'll be a part on the website that says, hey, start your own project, okay? Again, what I typically do is I don't just go to folks saying, hey, donate. I go to folks saying, hey, let me help you raise funds. Now think about that. Think about that. That's a whole lot different messaging than, let's say, if I was promoting a business. When I'm saying to a person, let me help you raise funds, that's a whole different messaging. Whole different messaging. Okay, let's go forward. Okay? Now, ultimately, as you start raising funds, to maximize or to really leverage this model, you want to always be in a giving mode. Now, the giving could come from surplus donation. So in this example, let's say that you've referred a couple of folks and they've followed suit. All right, you gave a $50 donation essentially, okay, $10 and then the $40. And let's say you had 2 people that became project managers at your referral, and they did the same. All right, so you got your $50 back from your first project manager, and then with the second project manager, you get $50 in this example. Well, guess what? That then allows you to make another contribution on step 2. Now, this is where the leverage comes into play, okay? Starting with step 2, there's a donation distribution formula that starts to kick in. And what this says is that 3 project managers above you are going to get a donation. So this is how this works, okay? The way this works is when you, starting with step 2 and any of the steps going up the ladder here, when you do your $20 donation in this example, 50% of that donation, or $10, is going to go 2 steps above you, okay? So essentially, whoever might be here, if you're in step 2, whoever's here, they're going to get 50% of the $20, $10. And then the other $10 is going to be split to the next 2 project managers above them. So this, whoever's here, this person's going to get 5, this person is going to get 5. So this way, when you and I make a donation with this system, it's leveraged, and more project managers are getting contributions from more people. Let me say that again. So starting with step 2, when I make a $20 donation, 10 of that is going to go above me. The other 10 will be split between 2 project managers, 5 and 5. That's going to go to project managers above me in the community, all right? When I do a $40 donation, 1 project manager is going to get 20, 2 others are going to get 10 apiece. When I do an $80 donation, a project manager is going to get 40, 2 other project managers are going to get 20 apiece. When I do a $160 donation, 1 project manager is going to get 80, 2 other project managers are going to get 40 apiece. When I do a $320 donation, somebody's going to get a $160 donation. The other project managers will get 80 apiece. And when I do a $640 donation, 1 project manager is going to get $320, and the others will get $160 apiece. The Gold crowdfunding does not charge any fees. So all of the contributions go to the project managers. I want you to hear that. All the contributions go to the project manager. Here's the caveat: so long as you are qualified. So in order for me to receive donations from people making a step 4 donation, I need to have made a donation for step 4 to be qualified for step 4. So let me show you what this could mean for you, okay? The power of just 2. The power of just 2. Here we go. All right? Now, where it says row here, this is going to, row 1 would be any project managers that you have introduced yourself, okay? And this example is going to be that you referred to project managers. You referred to project managers. And then we're going to make the assumption in this perfect world scenario that your 2 project managers referred to project managers. So on your row 2, there are 4 new project managers. And we're going to assume in the perfect world those 4 project managers referred to project managers. And so we're going to assume that there are now 8 project managers on your 3rd row. This is not network marketing. This is not multi-level marketing. There is no business, but there's some principles obviously in play where, hey, if you refer a couple project managers and they refer a couple project managers and they refer a couple project managers, all of a sudden you build a very large community of project managers, okay? All right, so now here's let me go back here. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me go back here. Ultimately in time, we're going to make these donations. But are you going to make these donations day 1? No. What I'm going to strongly suggest is day 1, you make a $10 donation and a $40 donation to your project manager. And then at the end of this, I'll give you another very strong recommendation. But for right now, just be thinking, okay, I joined for free. I made a $50 donation, the 10 and the 40. I got 2 other project managers, maybe more. And then I start receiving donations as well. And then ultimately, as I have surplus donations, I simply advance to the next step by making another donation. And those donations going forward are going to be split between 3 project managers. And I don't even have to worry about that. All I do is make the donation from my back office, and the system distributes the donations to the appropriate project managers. Okay. All right. So now, you may not understand everything here, and it's not my intent for you to understand. You know, I'd love for you to understand it, but if you don't understand it, understand this. This is the simplicity of it. The simplicity is, let me get started. Let me make a contribution. Let me get a couple other project managers that get started. They make a contribution. They get a couple each started. They make contributions, so on and so forth. And remember, when you look at this, these are just suggestions. Hey, refer at least 2. And those 2 refer to, and so on and so forth. You can refer a whole lot more than that. Okay, so now this is how this would work. Anyone that you refer, when they make their step 1 contribution, that step 1 contribution is going to come to you. Let's make this assumption that you've given a step 1 contribution yourself to your project manager. All right, the $10 that we showed, and let's also consider the $40 accelerator, because that's what our message is. At least do that if you have the wherewithal. So essentially, add 40 to this, making this 50. And if you had 2 people that did that, then that's $100. And that now allows you the resources to step up, okay? Now, let's say you've stepped up, and now all of a sudden, the folks on your row 2, your project managers' referrals, let's say there were 4 of those, when they make their step up to step 2, that's a $20 donation. $10 of that donation is going to go to you, and then the other 10 will be split with 2 project managers above you. So what that means is that as you build out your community of project managers, not only does it impact your project, but it impacts the projects of people above you. Now, let me give you an example. My project manager is a gentleman by the name of Bob. And Bob's quest, Bob's why, Bob's cause is to help reduce teenage suicides in the U.S. I did not know this before looking at Bob's project, that over 300,000 teens in 1 year committed suicide, which is more than the people that the U.S. lost in the Iraqi war. Okay, and it's not publicized. And Bob wants to bring attention to that particular project, and he's raising money towards that end. So what happens is, when I came aboard, he's my introducing project manager. I made my contribution. I made a $50 contribution to Bob. But now anyone that I refer, when the people that I refer step up to their second contribution and they make a $20 contribution, guess what? Bob is a beneficiary of that. Bob is getting $10, all right? And then two people above Bob get $5 apiece. So ultimately, this is going to be you, hopefully, where you've got folks. So this is essentially what's happening. We are sewing up, we are donating up, and we are receiving donations from below. So we're going up with donations, but we're receiving donations from below, okay? You may or may not understand all of this. Don't worry about I just want you to get the big concept. So the big concept is this, that ultimately you could have people from your row 6, as an example, and let's say if 2 got 2 got 2 got 2 in a perfect world, let's say there's 64 project managers there, and then when they step up to their step 4, and they make their contribution on step 4. Let's go back and see what the contribution is on step 4. The contribution is $80, okay? So the contribution on their step 4 is $80, okay? Give me a moment. I'm sorry. I got a little confused there. When they're making their contribution in that particular step, this is what you would be getting as the donation distribution formula, okay? So in this example, what happens is you're going to get, when they make up their step 4 contribution, you're going to get $20 of that, and then some of that is going to go to projects above you. When these 64 folks make their step 5 contribution, you're going to get $40. When they make a step 6 contribution, you're going to get $160. So let's just do this real quickly. Let's do the math on this. We're looking right here with 64 project managers as they start to step up through the system. All right, so 160 right here, plus 40 right here, plus 20. All right, so if in a perfect world all 64 project managers got to the point where they were doing their contributions, stepping up, you would generate $220 in contributions times these 64 project managers. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is $14,000. That's $14,000. Help 10K, raise 10K. The simplicity of it is refer to project managers. They refer to project managers. They refer to project managers. We start off with making the $50 donation, and then from surplus donations, we step up. That's the simplicity of it. Let's go here to row 8. Let's give you just another example where 256 folks, okay, and when they're making their contributions and stepping up, let's say there's $80 that comes to you, and then there's $160 that comes to you. Let's say in a perfect world, $240 in donations times the potential of 256. All right, big number. I won't even show that, okay? Big number. I'll let you do the math. That's a big number of donations, far beyond our $10,000 goal, okay? So it doesn't have to happen perfectly. You know, if you do the numbers, I mean, you pull out your own calculator and you say, well, if to, refer to, and I got these amounts, what would that be? All right. Let me not speculate that will happen exactly like that, and I certainly don't want there to be any regulatory things as it relates to that. This is a crowdfunding platform that basically is using leverage. That's what it is. It's a crowdfunding platform that's using leverage. Okay. Now I want to share. This here. Now, I did a recent webinar. We had a large audience. I did a poll, and the largest demographic of that audience was over 40. And then I did another poll and asked that audience where they stood with retirement. And the overwhelming majority had very little retirement savings that they control. Now, I'm not talking about pensions, because that's not something you control. In the city of Detroit, they filed bankruptcy, and people's pensions were cut. At one point, they thought they may have to cut their pension by 80%. So imagine someone being on a $2,000 a month pension, getting an 80% haircut and losing $1,600 a month. But thank goodness it wasn't that bad of a cut, but it was a cut nonetheless, almost 5%. And so I had this webinar. The majority of people were 40 plus. The majority of people did not have a lot of retirement savings that they controlled. And so this is why I wanted to share this as I start to understand this crowdfunding project. Maybe you're not crowdfunding necessarily for retirement, but if you're crowdfunding, if your gold crowdfunding could help you with whatever your project happens to be, maybe it's a business or what have you, and then in that business, because you were able to scale up because you raised some funds, now you're able to generate more revenue to help you with retirement and things of that nature. That's why I'm passionate about this fundraising, okay? Now, I will say this. The reality is that as powerful as this model is, and the model is extremely powerful, it's far more powerful than I've actually shared in this webinar. But I don't want to overhype it, and I definitely want to stay within the regulatory guidelines, okay? If you do the numbers, it could be amazing what could happen, especially with the 2x2x2. And I've only shown you floor one, okay? I've only shown you floor one. I've not shown you floor two. I've not shown you floor three, okay? When you understand those, I mean, you could raise a lot of money, but I'll leave it at that. Again, I don't want to overhype it. I want to stay within the regulatory bounds. Gold crowdfunding, I will say, is a part of a much, much larger master plan that I have for our audience. So one of the things I would strongly suggest that you do, obviously you're going to get back to the person who referred you and get enrolled for free. Hopefully you'll make at least a $50 donation and refer at least 2 other folks that do the same. But then you also want to find out the rest of the story as it relates to how we're leading our audience, okay? Here's the message, okay? If this message resonates with you and you're committed to referring at least 2 other project managers, ladies and gentlemen, we can change the world. We can change the world together, starting with yours. Again, I am way understating the potential of this so that I stay within the regulatory guidelines. So here's my call to action. Is for you to get back to the person who referred you to this video and join Gold crowdfunding for free. Make your initial step 1 donation of $10. Make your $40 Gold Accelerator donation. All right, so a $50 donation. What that qualifies you for is that when you refer project managers, whether it's 1, 2, 172, and they follow suit, then their initial $50 donation, $10 here with the initial and $40 Gold Accelerator donation, that goes to you. So if you did refer 10 people that followed suit, there's $500 in donations. If you referred 100 people, all right, and they all followed suit, there's $5,000 right there, okay? Now, I'm just going to take just a few extra minutes here to offer an optional super acceleration plan, okay? And so obviously this is optional here. This is how I would look to do this, assuming I had the resources. This is what I would do, okay? And also keep in mind that I've got something very special up my sleeve for those of you that follow us intimately. Okay. I want to go back to this for just a moment. Right now, we're looking at floor one. We're looking at floor one. Remember, there are how many floors? 3. How many floors? 3. How many floors? 3. And each of the floors have 7 steps. Now, in floor one, step 1 is a $10 donation. I would be donating the $10. My introducing project manager gets the $10. Okay? In floor 2, there's also a step 1. In floor 3, there's also a step 1. Okay? With step 1, my donation goes directly to my introducing project manager, assuming they're qualified for that step. So let me tell you what I've done. Let me tell you what I am strongly recommending you consider, assuming you've got the resources, okay? So what I'm doing is we've got 3 floors, and then we've got the steps. I wanted to make sure that my project manager got a big bang with my donation, okay? So that would help them with their project and also help them to start going up the steps. So this is what we did, and this is what we strongly recommend for our following. If you have the wherewithal, you come aboard, you do step 1, $10 donation. You do the $40 accelerator. We've talked about that, so $50. Now, in floor 2, not represented here, you don't see floor 2 here, but just follow me here. In floor 2, the donation amounts are 5 times the donation amounts as in floor 1. So, for instance, step 1 in floor 2 is $10 times 5. It's a $50 donation. Step 2 in floor 2 is 5 times this. It's a $100 donation. By the time you're doing that, you've had donations coming in. So basically what you're doing early on is you're taking some of your donated dollars to donate to other project managers. And then as you build out your community of project managers, prayerfully you're moving into some surpluses and maybe even some large surpluses. All right, so here, let me tell you what I did. What I did was I said, in step 1, floor 2, that's a $50 donation. In step 1, floor 3 is 10 times the first floor's donation. That's a $100 donation, okay? So this is what I did, all right? I said in floor 1, step 1, that goes to my project manager. I did a $10 donation. I did the $40 accelerator bonus, or $50. I then went and proceeded to to floor 2, step 1, and I did another $50 donation that goes directly to my project manager. And then I went to floor 3, step 1, and I did a $100 donation, okay? I did all of that. I had not received any donations because I hadn't even started promoting or sharing this with my audience. That was a $200 donation. And because I believe in Bob's project, I was more than happy to give a $200 donation, okay? Now, what that allows me to do is as I introduce other project managers, if they follow suit and they give a donation, floor 1, step 1, along with the $40 accelerator bonus, and they do floor 2, step 1, and they do floor 3, step 1, guess what? I get that $200 donation that I gave to Bob, I get that coming right back. And then what I'm able to do with that as it comes back, I'm now able to go to step 2. And now I'll do the same thing. With step 2, I will give a $20 donation on floor 1. That's going to impact, get this, 3 project managers. Remember the distribution formula? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to floor 2, step 2, just multiply this times 5. That's a $100 donation. Well, see, I've just gotten $200 in donations. All right, so now I'm going to go to a floor 2, step 2. And so now there's going to be 3 additional project managers that are going to receive donations. And then as I have more donations that come to me, I'm simply going to go across the line. So imagine with me that you've got 3 of these charts. You've got floor 1, you've got floor 2, floor 3. I need you to be a little, to imagine this because I'm not showing it visually right now. And all I'm simply doing, and the system shows you this, it says, okay, you've done floor 1, step 1, $10. And then I just simply go across and it says the next suggested donation is floor 2, step 1. Then the next suggested donation is floor 3, step 1. Then the next donation suggestion is floor 1, step 2, floor 2, step 2, floor 3, step 2. By the time other people are following those same steps, you're starting to generate donations. And then now from your surplus, right about step 3, and certainly by the time you get to step 4, and other folks are following suit, you're starting to get some very large surpluses. Because remember, at step 4, for instance, in floor 2, it's 5 times this donation. So imagine someone now being in their step 4, and they're going to floor 2, and they are doing a $400 donation that you're getting. You see that? Or you see that? Okay? Or you're getting part of that distribution formula. You're getting a piece of that donation. Some other project managers are getting donations as well. So the whole idea is that if you have the wherewithal to get started and go horizontal, where you do floor 1, step 1, $10, along with the $40, let's call it $50. And then you do floor 2, step 1, and floor 3, step 1, okay? That's $200 if you have the wherewithal. And then the people that follow suit do the same. Then that allows you to start then going up to step 2, and then floor 2, step 2, and floor 3, step 2. The whole idea is really for you to never really have to do any more to kind of really maximize this whole piece so that you raise as much as you possibly can than, let's say, that $200 initial donation. Okay? And hopefully, and what should happen is you see that person's project and you say, you know what, yeah, I just believe in their project. Whether or not you ever refer anyone, you just believe in their project. Okay? All right, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is what my strong suggestion is for you. That you've got 4 choices. You can say, bah humbug, all right, forget all of this. You could say, maybe 5 choices. You could say, I'm going to enroll with this platform, but I'm not going to follow these steps. I'm just going to get my link out to people and hope that they donate. You could say, I'm going to enroll with this platform and I'm going to follow suit, but right now I only have the resources to give a $10 donation. You could say, I'm going to enroll with this platform. I'm going to give the $10 donation and the 40, right? That would be 50. That's better than the other options that I just posed. And really the option that I would strongly have you to consider is $200 donation. That $200 donation will go directly to your introducing project manager, assuming that they are qualified for all of those steps to all the floors themselves. And then when you happen to refer a project manager and they hear this message or even hear the message from the corporate perspective and they follow suit, well, guess what? That means that you really accelerate the speed at which you're getting donations, okay? All right, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do, give me a moment, is I want you to get back to the person that referred you to this training, register through their link to become a free member of Gold Crowdfunding. I want you to consider making that initial step one $10 donation. You'll see that once you come into the back office. By the way, when you first come into the back office, as I'm doing this recording, at the top left, you'll see a button that says menu. You click on that, and you'll see where you can make your contribution. Make the $40 Gold Accelerator contribution. And then strongly consider making the full contribution. Now, this is not 200 on top of the 40 on top of the 10. It's a total of 200. It would be this: floor one, step one, $10, and the $40 accelerator donation. Floor two, step one is $50. Floor three, step one is $100. This all totals $200. So that's what I would have you to do. And what you want to do is you want to pay attention. If someone is just sending this video to you and you did not opt into an email list, someone just sent you the video, the one thing that I would have you to do, and I will need to give me a moment here. I want to put this up here. So that when the company has live webinars, as I'm doing this, they do it every Tuesday and Thursday. Some people like our style of webinars. You know, the company does about a 30-minute webinar. I tend to go into more depth with any training that we have because I want you to understand it as you undertake it. If you go to Help 10K, Raise, let's do it like this. Raise 10K webinar.com, okay? Give me a moment. I'll make this really big for you. If you would go to Help 10K, Raise 10K webinar.com, Help 10K, Raise 10K webinar.com, there'll be an opt-in list there. You can opt in with your best email address. All right, we're not going to be spamming you and all of those things. That way you can know anytime that we're having a live webinar about Gold crowdfunding. You can obviously refer potential project managers to that live webinar. Also, what we'll also do is we'll let you know about those things that I said. I had a couple ideas under my sleeve. That's designed particularly as you start raising some funds, particularly for those of you that are raising funds for maybe like a business or what have you. We've got some things that you definitely want to consider to help you with your business or business interests or what have you. And so that way you can be apprised when we start to share that with our overall audience. Now, I will say this, that assuming that you like or that any of those other trainings resonate with you, we'll want you to connect back with whoever referred you to Gold crowdfunding, because those are also ways that you could generate additional capital. And so in any event, you could go to Help 10K, Raise 10K webinar.com. There might be there something that talks about a live webinar. There may not, but there's a place for you to opt in. The biggest thing is you want to be able to opt in so you can follow our fundraising community very, very, very intimately. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Let's help you raise 10K. Have an awesome day.